to learn how to drive? The best way to learn how to drive, Alex Peretsky.
You might not know how difficult it is to get the driving test in Belarus. That's where I'm from. Belarus, yes, one of the Soviet Union republics. You might not know how difficult it was to get the driving test in Soviet Union. Madam Contest Chair, fellow Toastmasters, and most welcome guests, since my childhood, my dream was to learn how to drive. And my favorite activity in my childhood was to spend hours behind the wheel, to push different buttons, to press different pedals, to move different levers, and imagine that I'm driving, just to sit behind the wheel, imagine myself I'm driving. And my daddy used to take me to that old buses park, or old bus cemetery, whatever you call it. I could spend hours just sitting behind the wheel and just imagining that I'm driving. But I could never actually realize that dream, because first of all, we could never afford the car in Soviet Union. Second, it was extremely difficult to get the license. Extremely expensive and extremely difficult. So when I arrived to the United States, I decided now or never, I will learn how to drive. What I've heard, it's really easy to get the license in New York State. Ladies and gentlemen, it is really easy. The theory test, I failed only once. And I only did it because I wanted to test it, how easy it is. Because I was told it's easy. So when I came there and I passed the test, the guy looked at me and said, "Did you even read that book?" And I said, "No, sir, I just wanted to test how easy it is." But second time, I passed it easily. And it was time for driving test. Before that, I decided to take a few lessons, driving lessons. I hired that Russian guy, Yuri, who after 7 lessons, he told me, "I think you need 22 bore." And I said, "No, sir, I'm ready for the test." I went for the test, and believe it or not, I passed it because it was even easier than the theory one. My first driving experience. I'm standing in front of the rental car with the key in my hand, with the driving license in my pocket. And in front of me, I have this huge Ford Taurus that they rented to me, huge, full size. I get in, I switch on the engine, I pull the gear into driving position, exactly as Yuri told me. And I start moving, magical. But all of a sudden, I notice my wheel, my chair, is quite far from the wheel. And I'm trying to figure out how to move it closer. I'm trying to look for that magical button, how to move it closer. But I can't find it. So first thing I do, I call the rental agency and I ask them, "I just rented this huge Ford Taurus from you. Could you tell me how to move the chair closer to the wheel?" And they said, "Sure, don't worry. There is that button. There is a little button on the side of your chair. All you have to do is just to move it." I find the button. I move it. It doesn't move. I try it again, it doesn't move. What I do next, I call 1-800 number on the back of the manual for the car. Ladies and gentlemen, what would we do without those 1-800 numbers? And I ask them exactly the same question. I rented the car, I sit in that wheel, I sit in that chair, I want to move it closer to the wheel, it doesn't move. They explain it to me, "Sir, there is that button on the side of your chair, just move it." I try to move it, it doesn't move. They explain it to me, I don't get it. So I ended up driving all weekend like this. My second driving experience was when my friends came from England. My friend Sarah, she's German actually, and her Japanese classmate. They asked me to come up with some interesting idea, to take them to some interesting place. And where else could you take the person in New York State as not Woodstock, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, that's Woodstock, 1969, hippies. So we rented a car and we went. Everything was fine, I was driving fine, I was a good driver, until the darkness came, until the sun came down. And I realized I had no idea how to switch on the light. We looked all over the place, we tried to find, we touched, we tried every button, every lever in that car, we couldn't find that magical button how to switch on the light. Although we noticed that there is that lever right beside the wheel. If you pull it, the light goes on. The only problem, we don't know how to keep it like this. Luckily, one of my friends had a scarf, which we tied to the lever. Another end we tied to the back of the chair. And I ended up driving from New York to Woodstock and back, just like that. Blinding every other driver coming the other way. If you think these two stories are funny, wait and see what comes next. When I arrived to Canada, to Toronto, I found my first job, believe it or not, in Niagara Falls. From New York to Niagara Falls. And of course I had to get a car, because without a car you can't get around in Niagara Falls or St. Catharines. So my first car was Pontiac Firefly. And I bought it from the local dealer. Ladies and gentlemen, who knows this car? Pontiac Firefly. I bought it from the local dealer that my friends recommended to me, and he told me, a Russian guy, he said, it's the best Japanese car. It is an American car, but there is a Japanese engine in it. Suzuki, it's the best Japanese engine you can ever find. So I bought that car, and that Japanese car ended up getting fire on my way from Toronto to Niagara Falls. Not like fire, but it got smoked. It was really scary, ladies and gentlemen. It was the first time in my life I experienced something like that. So I got out on QEW. I got out from the car, pulled over, got out, ran over the highway, jumped the fence, got into the nearest golf club. Right by the Burlington, there's a golf club. Next time you drive by, think about me, ladies and gentlemen. I get in. Imagine everyone sits there, watching TV, relaxing. The guy comes in, that's me, right? And say, help me, my car is on fire, I don't know what to do. So there is that Canadian guy looking at me. Why?